Hi everybody, I'm just going to do some yoga poses just to share with you how I keep supple, flexible and fit. So I'm just sitting, just centering myself before I start. We're just going to work from the top of the body down, so starting with the head, just going to do some neck rolls, right side and to the left, making sure that everything is always even whenever you do any of the poses on both sides, and then front and back. I'm sat in easy pose, it's comfortable, it's not stretching anything, just letting my legs hang. Again, neck pose, this time putting more weight onto each side, so pulling onto my right side, pulling onto my left side. Here I'm pulling forward and finally pulling back, just to increase that stretch in the neck. I'm just going round. This is also just testing how flexible I am. If I've got any pain, any stiffness, then I'll know what to work on. But today I was feeling fine. Looking to the left, looking to the right. And then we move down to the shoulders. I'm just rolling them, again feeling if I have any stiffness, feeling if I have any problems. I used to have back pain, so this is a big thing for me just to check. Pulling up, putting my arms behind my head. This is elongating and stretching out the chest and the arm sockets, really alleviating all that shoulder, all those ligaments in the shoulder. Reaching on my arms, just getting those wrists free. Now working a little bit lower, so we're just pulling on the arm this time. So you can see I'm still freeing up my wrist a bit. By doing this, you're just helping increase the stretch. You really need to relax the arm you're pulling on. So really, this I'm using my left arm to pull, and my right arm is really relaxed. And swap over, making sure the time on both sides is the same, not pulling on more than one than the other. And now just stretching under the underarm. Do that by pulling, just making sure I'm sat in a comfortable position. And pull to the other side. Just until the point where you feel comfortable and you feel that stretch. Nothing too painful to start. And now this works the other side of the muscles. Also focusing on the upper arm and the shoulders and the upper back. If you can't reach, because this can be hard for some people, then just put your hands as close together as possible. I can touch my hands and use my hands to pull into an even bigger stretch. So if you're able to touch, really hold hands, allow your muscles to really feel that stretch. Yep, now we're just doing a back stretch. Leaning all the way forward, only if you can, don't pull anything. This is just a relaxing yoga video. It's not to cause any pain, it's just to alleviate any pain you may have, and also good to do before any training to minimize potential pain or stress on the muscles that you may do in your normal exercise routine. Just shake it all out, just get everything back into position. And now we're working on the back. We've done the neck, the shoulders, and now the back. So we're just going to arch. Make sure you're sucking in that stomach in any of these poses. Push it right down. And so this is releasing the spine and awakening the muscles in the back. Now we're going to go down into child pose. This helps the arm, but also the back as well. It really pulls out those muscles. And down into very traditional yoga pose, downward dog. With this, make sure your feet are shoulder width apart. And the same with your hands, so you're nice and balanced in all four. And you're trying to get your back a straight line down through your shoulders into your arms. And with straight legs as well. That's the aim. That's not how it has to be done. If you're not as flexible, then just make sure you go to the limit, not beyond your limit. Don't want to be pulling any muscles or causing any pain. Now this is elevated child's pose. So my bum is in the air. This elongates that stretch from the shoulders. Back to downward dog. Should be slightly easier now as you're a bit warmer and you're using those muscles a bit more. Just wiggling my legs left and right to engage the hips and push down in the legs. Push down in the shoulders. And we're done with the first part. Now, hips. Moving down the body. Just rolling our hips, just waking them up. We've done our child's pose and our downward dog, so they're already a little bit warm. Just round in one direction, round in the other. You may feel some clicks, you may feel some discomfort. Be aware of your body. And now we're moving into the legs. So we're just going into a lunge, a soft lunge. You see, I'm not pushing down too much. I'm bouncing around. I'm feeling comfortable, seeing how far I can go, testing my own body's limit before I get into the pose. If you need to put your hands on the mat, feel free. That does reduce the amount of weight that you're putting onto your inner thighs. And I like to use a counter stretch. One leg bent, other leg extended, arms straight, and then back down into and just reverse this. So this is also stretching out the back of the leg. So stretching out the back of the thigh and the calf. And then when you go forward, you're stretching out the inner thigh, the upper inner thigh. So this is really good for both parts of the leg. Parts that are usually quite stiff. And don't worry if you're not going down as far. This is only the first time. Swap the legs over, like I said at the beginning of the video. Make sure you are always doing things evenly on both sides so your body feels balanced. Same as before, lunge forward, careful, and then pull it back. Just stretching the back of the leg. Now this is the second time. As you can see now, I'm putting more weight on my leg. I'm not touching the mat at all. That puts more pressure, more weight down, basically helping you do a bit more of a splits. Only do that if you're comfortable. Don't overstretch yourself. Same here, if your head can't reach your leg like I can, don't force it. It will come with time. Each time you do this, you'll be reaching your limit and pushing it a little bit further. Not so far that you pull anything, but so that your body is getting used to a bit more of an extreme pose. Go back to the first leg. Now this is an increased stretch. So when you pick up your foot from the back and you bring it up to your bum, that is extending that stretch right around the leg. So if you can't do this, don't worry about it. It's a level above. But it's good to see what you can do. Make sure that your hips are square. You're not twisting too much and you've got complete balance and complete control. Now, just releasing my hips side to side so they feel comfortable. Now, if we're ready to do the splits, because we've done the lunge. If you can't do the splits, don't worry, just sit and watch. Probably sit in the lunge position whilst the split section is going on. So here I'm bringing my leg up. This is to extend the split. Again, only do this if you're comfortable. Make sure both legs are in a comfortable position, more or less, considering we're in the splits. And I'm just leaning forward. This really brings the stretch into the front leg even, as well as the thighs and the back. And just swapping over. Going to do enough splits. Make sure the front leg is straight. No matter how far or low you're in your splits, make sure your front leg is always straight. And try and straighten your back leg as well. Maintain balance. Both hips are facing forward, not twisting one side, not towards the camera, not away from the camera, but straight on. Pick up the leg, gain my balance, and then hold that pose. And again, leaning forward just to move that stretch into a different part of the leg. You'll be able to feel exactly where you're stretching, where your limits are, where you feel more comfortable. So it's good just to move a little bit, like pick the back leg up, lean forward, lean back like I'm doing, because it moves the stretch into different muscle groups in the leg. That was just me testing my limits, see if my foot touches my head still. And rest. Yes, ended the second part. Now we're going into easy pose. This is just stretching again the inner thigh. It really helps to do this after you've done the splits because you're already warm and you're stretched quite well. This is a completely different area of the leg though. The stretch is coming more from the hips. And I'm pushing down because I'm quite comfortable to push down. So if I just relax my legs, I don't feel a stretch at all. So I need to push down on my knees. If you need to do the same, feel free. But most people don't need to push down. Just sitting there will create enough of a stretch. So don't push down if you don't need to. Okay. Just bringing both legs up. Again, this moves the stretch into a different part of the leg. And I just like to make sure that I'm maximizing its position. This is just me playing around. Feel free to try it. Make sure you're balanced. So you can see I'm holding my foot, but I'm also putting my hand more or less on my bum on the mat, just to keep me balanced. In that pose, I'm focusing more on the stretch than on balance. So I need to make sure that I'm not going to roll over, which is quite easy. My leg is straight, as straight as it can be. Really focusing on that stretch. It's similar muscle group to when you're doing the splits on the ground. So make sure you do this after the splits. So you're already limber and a bit loose. Now I'm just crossing one leg over the other. I'm going to lean forward and hug my leg. Just moving my neck around. It just felt a bit tense. Just hugging myself. And now we are back into child's pose. And now I'm just in a bridge. This is really stretching out my lower back. It's kind of waking up all the sinews in my lower back. Again, for me, I have to do this after, like midway through my stretch routine. It can't be like the first thing I do. The body needs to be prepared for it. When you do it, make sure you have complete control, or you're not going to collapse on yourself as well. I'm just catching my breath. Yeah, I found some sticks under the mat. I found them by just feeling them. Each pose, it wasn't feeling quite comfortable, so yeah, and then I found a second one. Yeah, the mat's fine now. Okay, so I'm just using this cloth just to help get a bit more grip for the next pose. I'm not using a yoga mat, I'm using a picnic mat, which is slightly better on outdoors on grass, but I did need some friction for what we're about to do next. So if you're using a yoga mat, keep using it. If not, maybe put down a rug or a towel just to create that friction. Now this is a bit more advanced. Not everyone can reach their foot, let alone pull their foot up, so don't worry too much about it. But make sure when you try, I'm very much diagonal at this point. It's been a while since I've done it. So I'm meant to be keeping my hips a bit more perpendicular. That's what I'd say to any of those copying. And again, make sure I'm balancing both sides. So first of all, I just bring up the leg, use the same side hand to hold my foot. And that's quite extreme in itself. So if you're able to do that, very good. And then pull it as close as you can to your head, making sure you're not hurting yourself. You can see I'm doing a 180-degree split here, but I did that earlier. So we know my body is able to do that. Don't force your body into a position it's not comfortable being in. And this helps just bring a bit more energy into it. Just swing my leg up. Brings me back to my ballet days when we used to do this. So I used to do gymnastics and ballet and ice skating, which is why my body is quite comfortable in many of these positions. Nowadays I just do yoga, but it all comes from a lot of the same. Okay, so I'm just having a bit of fun here, trying out my handstands, like I said, gymnastics. To do a handstand, first of all, you need to have strength in your arms. Most people tend to have the right amount of strength. Second, after strength, is balance, of course. And balance just takes practice. You can do it up against a wall to start, just to see if you've got that upper strength to support your body. And then it helps with the balance as well, the more you do. Every time I do it, I try to make sure I don't collapse, or I don't fall out of it. I calm down with some sort of control, so I don't hurt myself, I don't injure myself, basically. That was a long one, that was a good one. So we're doing this during the quarantine times. I found a very secluded part of the park. Now we're going to do something slightly easier. So headstands are a lot easier than handstands for balance and for control. And so I'm able to hold it. And basically a headstand is your head is still on the floor. I'll do a more detailed video of how to do this. This is more a long way shot just to show what you can do. But a headstand is when your head is on the floor, your arms are supporting your whole body. So you have a lot more grip of the floor and you're able to do things like this, like splits, bent splits. You have a lot more control. Balance isn't the main thing here. I think the main thing here would be awareness. Balance is a lot easier to have in a headstand than a handstand. And so some people even meditate in this position because it uses the whole body to balance, not just your hands and then your arms and your wrists. There's not a lot of pressure on a small part of the body. It's spread across the whole forearm and the head as well. So you've got a lot of support. I find it very therapeutic in that pose, actually. It's not easy, but it's good. Alright. Now I'm in tree, which is again a very, very common yoga pose. And this is just to center myself. There's element of balance in this, of course. It's not easy to do, but once you're in there, then you can just close your eyes, focus on your breath. It's so nice to do it outside on a sunny day. And just listening to all the sounds. And again on my other side. So what I'm doing is I'm just bringing up my foot into my inner thigh and resting it in there. So I've got quite squidgy thighs. It's quite comfortable to put my foot there, hold it, keep balance, and then bring my palms together to my chest and bring them up to the air when I'm ready. And yeah, I guess I'm just playing around here. The night before I'd watched some Kung Fu movies, so I think it's just in my mind. But it is very good exercise to see how many you can kick in a row. Good for the thighs. And the higher your leg goes, that only happens after having stretched out. So I'm just testing that. Yeah, nice. have lost my dancing. My love of dance. Oh, this pose is so good for the arms. We did it at the beginning. We did it sat down when we started, when we were just stretching from head, shoulders, back, legs. And just going back to it, but with a standing pose. This stretches two parts. Stretches your arms and it also stretches the back of your legs. So I'm bending my legs just to break that stretch a bit. Hey. So here I'm just fooling around. This is another pose that I tried to do. It's called King Dancer. People call it King Dancer. Basically, it's a combination of stretch and balance. It is the pose that we did before, where I was on all fours and I brought up one leg, pulling it with my foot. That pose must be quite familiar. But it's doing it standing on one leg. So the balance element combined with the stretching element makes it quite hard for me. So I'm trying it. It's not working. I guess it shows not every pose is doable by everyone. And we will have to realise, let's try it anyway. Let's try it anyway, get as close to as possible and fall over in the process. But always in a safe way. Don't pull more than you can. And you can feel when you're about to fall. So just let the pose go. And make sure you fall in a safe way. So this is again the position we did when we were sat down at the beginning. Now with an element of balance, doing it on one leg. Only do this if you can do it sat down. If your legs have that stretch. Otherwise it's not going to work. Just finishing off with a bit of a freestyle. And here's some pictures I took of the poses we did in the park. Alright, thank you very much for watching. Any questions, put it in the comments, message me. And yeah, enjoy all your yoga poses and stay safe.